So we're going to have a look at theta today and take a look at some of the key levels above us and below us, some areas of value that we can look to add into positions, and I'm also going to show you some trading setups as well for theta. What most people do online is they'll basically put some lines on a chart, give you some analysis, and then that's all they tell you. What they don't tell you is essentially how to trade it, as in where to enter and where to put stop losses and where to put take profits. So I'm going to show you how you can do that as well today. If that sounds good to you and you're learning something from this video and picking up something new, go ahead and like the video. That really helps me out and supports the channel, and subscribe as well to keep up to date with daily videos. So let's get straight in. Now, theta is uptrending for the long term, so it's definitely a coin on my radar that I want to be adding to positions for the future, as in like the next 1 or 2 years into my spot account. You can see that we're creating higher highs. Market structure is generally moving upwards. However, on the medium-term time frame, we are currently correcting and have been correcting for about the past 8 to 9 months. So that is still going to be my bias until proven otherwise. You can see that since we topped out last year, we're essentially creating lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so for the moment, my bias would be that any rally in the short to medium term is still going to be a sell signal for me unless proven otherwise. But on the shorter time frames, in the next sort of like week or two, I'm still expecting potentially some more upside for theta, but I do think that it is limited until it actually shows us that we can start moving above some of those key resistance levels, which we're going to go over. But to be clear, long term, in years, bullish. Weeks and maybe a few months, I'm looking at still that bearish scenario to take place because we're still correcting and in a downtrend. But on that shorter time frame, in a matter of weeks, I'm still looking at theta to potentially show a little bit more upside, because that's where we've been trending in the last week or two. It's also confirmed on the daily time frame, where we can see if we bring up our momentum indicator on the 21 EMA, we moved above it, currently holding it as support, and if we can hold this for support again, we can potentially still uptrend a little bit higher from here. But our higher time frame EMA on the weekly is still telling us that we are below the EMA 21. So long as we are below this, we're still looking to sell any rallies and still look for potential further downside. Okay, let's mark out the key areas. Below us, we've got 3 key support zones. Below us, we have this ultimate floor support down here at about 70 cents. Should we get there, that would be like an ultimate low target, in the same way that I kind of outlined in a few other videos for like Phantom and Link and stuff like that. Some of those lower bound targets, should this downtrend continue a little bit more and we go into some kind of prolonged bear market, or if we get some sort of massive capitulation event, which isn't out of the question. This floor support is not only the biggest area of price action consolidation that we've seen prior to this big move, but it's also in and around the last swing high back in May 20. And I outline this to you because obviously at the minute we've bounced off about $2.30, okay? And that is essentially the top of the last range that we broke out from to continue moving higher. But this price action over here, I'm not entirely confident might provide an ultimate low, because usually when you get these big expansive moves to the upside, okay, you get these pauses in consolidation for a few weeks, and these are typically don't often hold as strong support. A lot of the time they do end up coming out and basing down to the ultimate support, which here would be about 70 cents. But really the 3 levels are 70 cents, the bottom of the range at about $1.50, $1.60, okay, of the last consolidation range, and then we've got the top of the range where we've bounced from at the moment at about $2.30. To be clear, I do think that any of these green zones below us, okay, are going to be good buy zones for long-term spot holds for the future. So I do think, in my opinion, like I said, I own theta and it's a coin that I'd be looking to add in areas of value. So if you do get the opportunity to buy at these levels and you're just happy to hold, I do think that it will pay dividends in the next year or two, because we do not know exactly where the bottom is. We just want to look for the best area of value and not rush into stuff. And really there's 2 key zones above us that we want to be aware of, which are the $5.40 region and about that $7 to $8.50 region, okay? You can also see if we drop this down to the daily, okay, that is also confirming this as well. So we've had multiple areas of support resistance in the past in this range. So I would expect that if theta does move up to about $5.80, $5.70, in and around that $6 mark, I am expecting sellers to step in at this mark and for it to be an area of resistance. Above that, we've also got this area, like I said, at about $8, $8.50, where we've seen multiple swing failure patterns and still, selling occurring in and around this region. So these are the two key areas that you need to look out for before you can even start talking about moving and targeting all-time highs. If we bring up the VPVR, this is also showing us that we're getting these zones are also in confluent with some of these lower volume areas, even at the moment where you can see that we bounce from low volume, and some of these areas over here are probably going to provide some low volume support. We know at low volume areas that price doesn't tend to hang around that long at those levels. So you can see here on the weekly, when we've revisited these areas above us and below us, that, like I said, we don't tend to stay at these levels for a long time. All right, so let's take a look at where theta is headed at the moment, and I'm going to give you some different scenarios that you can look out for, and also some different trading setups that you can set up both to the long side and to the short side, so that we can start making money on this. Remember, if you're getting value from this content, please go ahead down below and drop me a thumbs up. It massively helps me out. Like I said, these videos take me a long time to mark out those key levels and show you this sort of stuff, so drop me a like down below, don't forget. I'm going to take a look at two of the most probable scenarios that I'm looking out for to the long side. So once we broke down from this key level on weekly support, you can see why the reaction was quite violent. We know that these are low volume areas as well, but look at this, look, these weekly wicks every time, 1, 2, 3. As soon as we broke that, closed down below it, right, we're looking down at the next level of support. And now we've broke straight back into this range over here between this red and this blue line and this blue band, right? The first scenario that I'd be looking out for is potentially probably maybe towards the end of this week or next week, look for a retest of this area over here. And then if we can hold this area as support at about $3.60, $3.70, which is look left, okay, these swing lows are over here. Okay, then maybe we can look to take this for a long. So the way that I would play this would be if we get some kind of move down into this green zone over here, show some bullish structure by getting some kind of daily close or wicks to the downside, then what you can do is you can potentially buy that candle because we're now reclaiming this area as support. Put your stop loss over here below about $3.20, because at that point, if we break this, we're probably going lower. So that is your invalidation point. And essentially, if we get this, and then we can basically move this and try to target somewhere towards the top of this range. If that scenario was to occur, then you can see that your stop loss is at about 13, 14, 15%, and your upside is about 60%. So that could be a really nice 4-to-1 risk reward ratio. Anyone telling me that you can't trade with a 10%, 15% top stop loss, it's too much, you're talking shit. All you have to do is reduce your position size. Obviously, you do not trade on like 5 leverage and you trade your whole account, and basically, your loss is like 75% if you're out. You basically take small bets, in your trading account, where your loss is basically an acceptable loss, where for you that might be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. You don't need to bet the family farm on this. So I'm expecting sellers to step in here, and this would be my primary setup, and I probably wouldn't look to take this that much further unless we got some sort of confirmation that we're moving higher. This will be my primary setup, and I would like to take profits over here, and I would only go long on a reclaim, okay, of the next range. So the way that that might look is maybe we do come down here, okay, and maybe we consolidate for a little while underneath. Maybe that might be, coincide with Bitcoin pulling back as well. And if we do break to the range above, okay, so we're now between those two key ranges of about $6 and $8, I would look for a retest of this area, okay, should this happen, okay, and then maybe if we move down, move back up, come back here, and then we start to move higher, that's your entry and that's your stop loss, okay, and then from there, like I said, you swing this up towards the next level above you. Obviously, you can look left and you can see that where the first key areas of resistance at about $7.60, you've got areas at about $8 as well. So that's how I would be playing the long setup. I'd rather take profits here at about 60%, okay, and then wait for the market structure to actually show me what it's going to do. And then if we do get that reclaim over here and back into this area of support, then I'd look to go long. Like I said, I'm not interested in basically taking a risk where if I can make 60% on a trade and over here I miss out on about 5 to 10% of the move, I'm totally fine with that. So hopefully that gives you some of the long scenarios in the way that I'd be looking out for it for theta to move higher. And as we spoke about earlier, look for the daily 21 EMA to basically give us some, confirmed support to keep us moving in this uptrend if we're going to move higher. So like I said, I would imagine that this 21 daily EMA is going to probably come in somewhere around $3.70, and if we puncture below it, that's kind of fine. But if we do hold this as support, like I said, that's going to give you extra confluence. This zone, okay, is going to be a buy zone for theta, and then that you would look to basically continue supporting you as you move higher into about that $6, $5.80 region. Right, so some of the short setups that I'd be looking out for personally is either if theta moves straight up here, or we come down and we move back into this zone over here, one of these two scenarios, okay, either we get to $6 straight away, or we retrace a little bit and then go higher. I'd be looking to take this to the short side. Now there's two ways that you can play this short. Is you can essentially, once you get into this bearish order block over here, I'm going to drop this down to the 12 hourly, okay, so the area that we broke down from, okay, I'd be looking to take an entry either into here at about $5.70, $5.80, okay, with my stop loss over here, just above this high at about $6, okay, and then potentially look to swing this down towards the bottom of the range. Or a similar scenario would be to wait for this to give you some sort of swing failure pattern. So if we do potentially move into this area, move above this high that we've got to the left at $6, but immediately come back down and get slammed back down, okay, that's giving you the first indication that there's weakness and the price doesn't want to move any higher. And then maybe if we come back up to this region, get a retest, move back down, okay, that's your entry stop loss above the swing failure pattern. And that scenario, again, might be something like a 10%, okay, depending on where your entry is, 10, 15% move to the upside for your stop loss. But below you, again, look, you've got a super nice risk reward ratio of about 30%. And if you're taking that, you're laughing. Now, as we said, if we do continue up higher here and we basically essentially create market structure to take us to about that $8 level, look for something similar to this setup over here, just above us. You can short this area of price action or wait for it to create some sort of swing failure pattern potentially. So those are the things that I'd be looking out for theta to basically show me weakness at these two resistance levels. Bear in mind that if we do move somewhere into this level at about $8 and we do fail at that point, we're still creating, you can see, lower highs. Zoom out, look at the macro trend, okay? So that's basically the way that I'd be looking at some short setups for next week. Now, if we break down from this level at about $3.60 and we take out this swing low and break this market structure again, that's telling us that we want to move lower. So I'd be looking for a quick retest of this $3, $3.50, $3.60 range, okay? And then if I see any sort of failure patterns here on maybe like a 4-hour or 12-hour time frame, I'd be looking to put my stop loss here, take this down to the next range. Because if we start to create some weakness in the market and we back test and we start moving lower, we're likely going back down to retest these lows at about $2.30. Here's a really good example of that on the same chart, how that might look. So like I said, maybe if we do move higher and this is the phase that we're in, but we do come down, okay, and then we back test this area, okay, which was previously previously support, okay, and then we get this rejection candle over here. Like I said, you can take this candle, put your stop above there, and then essentially move down and target, look left, target either this area or the top of this swing high over here as potential take profit target. So that's essentially just to give you an idea how I would be looking to play this short set. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of where you can look for buy and sell setups so that you're not basically caught out whether theta goes both to the upside and to the downside. If you like the content and got some value out of the video, please do go ahead and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all my other videos. Any likes really helps me and helps the algorithm and shows your appreciation. And I'll see you in the next video.